Sayuri Yoshida is currently in Japan, as you've heard, enjoying her family. Recently, as Sayuri's guest, I attended a 3-day online conference. Before I share what I received from this experience, I want to invite us into a spirit of listening, not just to what was said in these various locations, but to what still speaks from the soil beneath our feet. Scholars and former government officials from Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea led this conference. I knew of some of the historic tensions between these countries and their multiple nationalities, like resentments held by Koreans against Japan for its brutal domination and oppression, and to a lesser extent, Taiwan, which until this conference I never knew was formerly colonized by Japan. What became increasingly clear as I listened to voices across East Asia is strikingly familiar in other parts of the world. People who have been conquered and dispossessed are seeking reparations. And some people who benefited from the oppression of colonized nations are beginning to believe that redress is necessary. It is here in these reckonings that the importance of conscience comes into focus. So often we seek greater consciousness, awareness, understanding, enlightenment. But perhaps our lack of consciousness is due to our willingness to ignore or silence our conscience. In this season, our collective conscience is what must rise, daring us to remember, admit, and change. We live in a time where the stories of Cain and Abel are replayed not just within the borders of a single land, but on the world stage between peoples and nations. We saw it dramatically in the General Assembly of the United Nations this past week. Cain has come back, not with a rock in his hand, but with a badge, a gavel, a border wall, and a Bible misquoted. Cain is banning books in the United States and rewriting history in Japan, denying the suffering of those once colonized or enslaved. The pattern repeats, criminalizing truth, filling prisons with prophets, caging children in steel detention centers, separating mothers from their babies at dawn. Cain is marching with khakis and tiki torches, or justifying order from a pulpit. He is not a metaphor anymore. He is policy wherever empire persists. The blood cries out. And if Abel still speaks, all the blood speaks. Let me say that again. All the blood speaks. And as I listened to accounts of Japanese imperial history, of forced labor, erased cultures, broken treaties, and generational trauma, I was reminded Abel still speaks, not just for individuals, but for whole peoples. The cry of Abel is not soft, it is fierce. It is rising, it is prophetic, it is everywhere. From the comfort women in Korea seeking acknowledgement to indigenous nations on other continents, demanding their land and memory back. Scripture says, the voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. God hears the cries from the border camps and occupied territories, from villages razed and waters poisoned. God hears the cries from melanated immigrants held in silence in private detention centers, from Palestinian families mourning unending losses, generations displaced, land and dignity denied, and from the children of the Congo, whose land is strip mined for wealth while their futures are foreclosed. The blood cries out, and if Abel still speaks, all the blood speaks. Let me say it again, all the blood speaks. Abel speaks through every people made voiceless by empire, and the soil remembers what official stories try to erase. And what does this say about our own outrage? We react to the firing of a celebrity talk show host while the blood still cries out from Gaza and the suffering of Palestinian children is treated as background noise, not headline news. Our collective conscience is summoned to reckon not only with what is popular, but with what is forgotten. Empires in every age, continent, in every religion, bear the hidden scars of their own Cain likeness. Legacies of conquest, dispossession, and violence haunt the conscience of their descendants. Whether European or Muslim, or Asian or American, every empire has constructed systems to silence the suffering of pushed aside populations, even while pretending to project civilization and order. The stain of anti-blackness, evident in Muslim society as well as Christian and secular powers, reveals that no power, no empire is innocent. Domination, denial, and the religious blessing of power repeat across boundaries and centuries. But soil and conscience are not so easily subdued. Every call for justice, every uncovered grave, every denied memory is a ghost that returns, forcing societies, Japan, the United States, and beyond, to reckon with what they sought to bury. We are haunted spiritually and ethically, not just historically. True justice only begins when empires and the people within them face the living witnesses they once consumed and silenced. In that confrontation, conscience is awakened, not to guilt alone, but to responsibility and possibility for transformation. The blood cries out. And if Abel still speaks, all the blood speaks. And I'll say it again, all the blood speaks. The blood of the detained, the disappeared, the deported, and the colonized is not forgotten in heaven. This is more than just racism or xenophobia. It's the rise of fascism, American and otherwise, cloaked in the language of national security, unity, progress, or religious tradition. When teaching about slavery becomes a political act, when truth telling about colonization is banned as dangerous, when children of Black or Indigenous descent are targets of policy of, or targets of curriculum erasure, that is the spirit of Cain, rebranded and rearmed for a new age. Fascism does not need a dictator in a uniform, just as a population that refuses to remember. That's all it needs, is people who forget. It requires pulpits that are silent, churches that confuse peace with passivity, faith and worship that blesses empire instead of confronting it. But our tradition, whether Abrahamic, African, indigenous, is not of silence but of speaking. By faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead. Even in death, truth has a voice. Even in oppression, righteousness has memory. Even in exile, Abel still speaks. When I heard about reparations movements in Korea and apologies wrestled from the imperial governments in Asia, I thought of the United States. Hear me. I thought of the United States' capacity for mercy deployed towards its former enemies. The US rebuilt Germany and Japan, reconstructing Europe after war. But what did the US do for descendants of enslaved Africans? No Marshall Plan for the Black South, no reparations for stolen labor, no return after the Tulsa massacre, no restoration of black farmland, no repair after Jim Crow, redlining, or mass incarceration. The US had the capacity for mercy. It just did not choose to extend it to black people. That choice was not an oversight. It was policy. It was theology. It was empire. So when we say empire is Cain, we mean the system that kills its brother, then invests in strangers, spills black blood, then forgives its enemies, and asks, "Am I my brother's keeper?" and refuses to answer. The blood cries out, and if Abel still speaks, all the blood speaks. Let's say it again, all the blood speaks. And this empire, like all empires, is haunted by prayers prayed while spilling blood, by wealth stolen, by truths denied, and archives buried. Empire always claims innocence, always points elsewhere, always says, "I didn't kill Abel. I inherited the system." But God is not fooled. Empire, refusing to confess, builds walls around conscience, distracts with luxury, rewrites history, criminalizes memory, and surveils blackness, silences dissent. Here in Japan, in every nation where empire fears the sound of its own past, even where colonizers did not wear crosses, they still enslaved. Even in Muslim majority societies, anti-blackness and enslavement have left their mark. To this day, Muslims who are black across Africa and the Gulf are ignored, their leadership denied, their memory erased. Empire is Cain and empire is haunted. But you cannot conquer conscience. You cannot colonize the soil. You cannot silence the ground. The ground is groaning. The blood is speaking, and Abel is still testifying. Yet we are here. From the Maroons of Jamaica to the Zapatistas of Chiapas, from Soweto to Standing Rock, to Jeju Island survivors and Ainu memory keepers, our people have not only survived, they have offered again and again righteous offerings, music that moves the soul, knowledge that heals the land, resistance that restores the balance, prayers that never stop rising. The African diaspora and indigenous nations are not relics of the past. We are revelation, still speaking, still building, still remembering, still resisting. Pan-Africanism and indigenous sovereignty are not two separate struggles. They are two streams of one river flowing through history. Colonizers not only stole land, but also people and memory, and in many cases, the image of God itself. But the soil remembers, the ancestors remember, survivors remember. Scripture tells us the ground cries out with Abel's blood. The soil takes witness. And still today, from the sugarcane fields of the Caribbean to the mines of the Congo, from unmarked graves near Canadian residential schools to the Badlands of Korea, to every place where Cain thought blood could be forgotten, the blood of Abel refuses to be silent. The land remembers what law denies. The rivers remember the rituals. The wind carries the names that official histories omit. And now the very earth groans, forests burn, waters rise, glaciers melt. Not accident, but consequence. Empire's greed is climate change's root. When you exploit the land, you exploit the people first and fastest. The same communities always made to suffer. Black communities breathing poison air, indigenous nations defending sacred forests, island nations drowning while the rich debate the cost of climate action, bear the brunt. The soil is a sacred archive and a sacred alarm. It testifies, it warns, it weeps. Let those with ears listen. Let those with hearts change, repent. We stand today in a holy tradition, not just of survival, but of testimony. We are Abel's voice made flesh, speaking through children, reclaiming true names and languages, through movements for abolition and reparations, through protest and pen, dance and declaration. We speak not to preserve wounds, but to heal, rebuild, and remember, a living river of witness, because we are our siblings' keepers. Let Cain arise with his lies. Let Pharaoh sit on his throne of denial. Let Caesar count his coins. We will not be silenced. Our offerings were righteous. Our God remembers. Abel still speaks. And let the church speak. Let them ban the books. We are the books. Let them rewrite the history. We carry it in our bones. Let them try to silence us. We will still speak. Let politicians lie. We will tell the truth. Let empire expand. We will resist. Let the fascists march. We will pray, protest, and push back by faith. Cain will not win because the blood cries out. And if Abel's blood still speaks, all the blood speaks. Somewhere today, in a black congregation, somebody is shouting, I plead the blood. Hear the words as I close of Andre Crouch, memorializing another innocent who was killed by siblings. The blood that Jesus shed for me way back on Calvary, the blood that gives me strength from day to day, it will never lose its power. It reaches to the highest mountain and it flows to the lowest valley. The blood that gives me strength from day to day, it will never lose its power. Amen.
Amen. Pastor Moore, can I just tell you something right now? We're in our little group, we were talking about the global community. And here's the truth. The global community is able. The MAGA, you can call it MAGA, you can call it Putin, you can call it Netanyahu, you can call it in Sudan. They have, that there's all over the world, whatever you want to call it, is Cain. And what we're watching right now is something that I think you point out really well. That story gave us insight so that we don't have to be killed. Guess what? We are aware that our brother has ill intentions because we've seen the story of Cain and Abel. And so in seeing that, we don't have to be murdered as a martyr. But we can go ahead and just turn on the cameras and bring everybody to the field and join us to watch what happens. And then when they see how many people are there, Cain might not be so bold. That's just this thought. But Miss Fox, I'm sure, has a really good bit of insight into this.
Diane, are you there? Diane?
I am here. I don't know why and my video is on, but it doesn't show anything. I'm not quite
Well, we
sure.
remember what you look like, so go ahead.
Well, it doesn't matter. What's important here is I, of course, thought the whole way through of the soil crying out in Vietnam, the soil permeated with the chemicals, with the unexploded ordnance, with the people on that soil. And so that's where my mind went, and grateful for your message today.
And unfortunately, here's something I've realized. America has been Cain for a long time. America's been going around the world destroying people's sovereignty, taking their resources and claiming righteousness. And that's, you know what? America as we know it needs to kind of like...
Yeah. It's never not been Cain.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And your call for responsibility, not guilt. Guilt
Yeah.
paralyzes. But if you take responsibility, that's another thing.
Hmm. I think that's part of the problem too, is you see, in our current times, they keep calling it the left. These are people that have empathy and are trying to own some of the mistakes that have been made and trying to right the wrongs. They're trying to create reparations. They're trying to take and ask the indigenous, what can we do better? And it's not like, oh, we'll pay you some money. No, no, no. Let's work together to make a community together, That's real reparations, is giving them that power.
Attending this conference a couple of weeks ago really clarified for me how the root of environmentalism has to be anti-colonialism. It's the starting place. It
Mhm.
has to be, it has to be resisting empire, because
Mm.
empire is the culprit more than anything.
Yes.
Yes, Barbara.
I just wanted to make a quick comment about, I thank you so much. That was so inspirational, but it was more than just inspirational. It was just the truth. It was just the truth. I was so discouraged this week. I'm sure you all saw the video of the ICE agent that brutally pushed a woman at a courthouse.
Hmm.
Um, and I was so thankful that it was exposed, but yet I just kept thinking in my mind, what about the thousands of incidences that are happening now where there's no camera, right? So,
Yeah.
but your message was just like, that's not the point. It's like that our bodies, our very being is, we are we are the truth. Like, so thank you.
And I have also another thing too. If anybody is feeling any kind of discouraged right now, get an opportunity to go on YouTube and start looking up every UN leader sharing recently.
Except for two of them, all right?
Except for two of them. And it's funny. Yeah. And I love how everybody left when Netanyahu was on there. And you know what? And I'm sorry, nobody takes Trump serious.
Nobody.
He's a clown, and nobody, hey, everybody if you want to know what America really stands for and what America really is, it's on display for the world to see. Because if that guy's our leader, they know it's a joke, our idea of what democracy is. Because
When
the truth of the
Trump's
matter is, nobody would follow that guy anywhere, but yet he's leading us, and he's making an ass of us.
It's a joke, but with deadly power.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the worst part about it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't
people
know if
all over the
you.
world on social media, when they were listening to him, were basically saying WTF.
Yeah.
It,
This is the most disturbing thing to think of. We have a deadly military. We have the most ridiculous military. And if you were to just look at how the politics are staged right now, you would understand that somebody behind the scenes has made it turmoil around the world, because that'll make more money if we have a lot of wars going on.
Let's see if we can welcome somebody else into
Yeah.
the conversation.
Brigetta. Oh, wait, no, right there, Michael. I seen his hand fly up.
Yeah, I just want to add this powerful, powerful stuff, Pastor. But one of the things you said, I'd like to comment on. You said prayer, protest, and pushing back. Yeah, and each of us can do that individually, but when we do it collectively, it has so much more impact. And so I just want to mention, every day there are groups all over Ventura County several of them working with their cell phone cameras, watching for ICE cars, calling witnesses to document ICE kidnapping, to stand between the agents and the victims of their horribleness.
yes.
And then the other thing is protest, and we all protest in our own ways, but each time we have an opportunity like, isn't it the 18th? Saturday the
Yes.
18th?
Yes.
Yes, we can all be in the streets with our signs indicting and bearing witness to the genocide, to the fratricide, to the evilness of this empire turning on its own people. So I think I'm so glad, Pastor, you gave us that alliterative pray, protest, and push back. Let's do it. Thanks.
Yes. Amen.
Amen.
Mhm. And don't
And-
forget the boycotts.
Yes, boycotts.
I was
Brigetta.
just gonna say that, Linnea, and I want to call out my wife, Linnea. She every day is advertising and pointing out to others and finding new boycotts. And you know, money speaks in this empire. So thank you. Linnea.
Absolutely.
You're faithful.
We do have a lot of power as people collectively united against the oligarchy. I mean, I think it's more powerful than getting out in the street. If we're collective about it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brigetta.
Brigetta.
I don't know if I can articulate what's going through my mind very effectively, but my thought as people were speaking about, you know, how embarrassing our leadership is at the moment, was that I get texts from my relatives who live in Holland, the Netherlands, and their text used to be, you know, along the line of, what? You know, what is going on in your country? However, they changed a year or more ago when their country elected somebody that they're embarrassed about. And I look around and I see other countries are running kind of in the same vein. And I'm like, wow, what is happening globally that people are looking for a solution and don't feel comfortable in the state that they're in, that they would actually go and pick somebody that they know is ridiculous or that they know is not right. And I just kind of feel that we need to be really careful, you know, as we call ourselves the left, or as we call ourselves Democrats, or as we call ourselves, you know, righteous, or whatever, that we need to really be careful about bringing along the other side, because when we distance ourselves and go, God, we're so smart and they're so stupid,
Yeah. Yes.
or you know,
Yeah.
we can drive an electric car because we're concerned about the universe, but you know, they're still driving some polluting piece of shit. You know, we need to somehow bring the other people up with us so that they're not looking for an asshole to represent them, because we're not representing them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope that makes some sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seeing that of God in every person.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of remove the us versus them, and to kind of start looking at it a little bit more like, wow, we have left some people behind, and they're not happy, and rightfully so, even, you know. So I think we all need to change.
You know, that really goes to the
Clint,
whole.
you got some other people who.
Yeah, I was gonna say Marcy had her hand up right there for a minute, and Marcy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor David. I really like the Cain and Abel
story. I never understood it though. I will be completely honest until it was Kaylon, I think, or Kelly. One of them came on and explained the whole shebang because he said the same thing I felt like, what, God didn't like vegetables? Like, what was wrong with that? So I was super grateful for the explanation, you know, like it was the heart posture and him saying like, am I my brother's keeper? Like, you know, obviously that's not cool. But I also wanted to say, yes, fascism is here. It's not upon us. It's not at our front door. It's freaking here. And rather than get scared or mad, you can act, and it doesn't have to be anything huge. And I'm really glad that Michael brought up what they're doing in Ventura. And I just quickly want to say that in Santa Barbara, we are SB Defensa has been created. It is a newer grassroots collective, and we are focusing on ICE terror. That's going to be really, really, really ramping up October 1st when they get their $1 billion. And we do in Santa Barbara currently have people sitting on off ramps of the freeways spotting for ICE. So if they see someone, then we can call, because in addition to the spotters, we also have patrollers in the area that can move. So if we say, hey, ICE has just got off the freeway here on Milpas, if that spotter can't follow, then one of the patrollers will come in and pick it up. And guess what? You know what we're going to tell them? We don't want you here, and you're not allowed to be here if they're in a mask and, you know, in jeans and not a non-official thing. I don't care if they are in a suit. We don't want you here. You're not welcome here. And unless you are going to be following rules and laws and regulations and have no masks on and do things, you know, the way you need to, we're going to be boxing you up in your cars. We're going to be out there with cameras up in your face. And just remember, you are all welcome to be a part of this, and not everyone has to be up in the face. Like I will be, just so you know, but some people, all we need is you to call if you see ICE pass by. There's a number, you could just call it in. That's huge, because guess what? Then we're going to flock in and we're going to go tell them, we don't need you here. You're not allowed to be here, because guess what? We are going to take back our cities. And just like Ventura is doing, we are partnering with VC Defensa because they are amazing. And hopefully we will be eventually someday SB Defensa. But right now, because VC Defensa is huge and they have a hand in so much in their community, we are just like starting out and wanting to focus on the ICE terror. But everyone's welcome. The more the merrier. And I believe we work very closely with 805 and DocuFund and Union del Barrio. So we are mobilizing people. We are doing something. So I'm just saying that for hope and to let you all know that everyone matters and you can all make a difference.
Thank you, Marcy. And tell me, how do you even know if it's an ICE vehicle, if they're unmarked?
We have a catalog of cars.
I'm so glad you asked.
Cars.
We have a sheet of paper that will say, does it have this? Yes or no. And then you can say, no, the front windows are not tinted. Okay, well, when the next step is to check for this. So we have tools to help regular people. I mean, I got frustrated. I was like, any car could be an ICE.
Can you put something in
it
chat?
It seems like that. But when you really...
Is there something you can put in chat?
I don't have it right now. Oh,
we're not.
I have been able...
I don't have anything on me right now. I'm out of town.
Okay, when you get a chance, maybe put it in Group Me or something.
Yeah, please do.
Michael?
Yes, I could absolutely.
Pastor, we're not supposed to take. I have a little binder, and it has all 23 of the Ventura County ICE vehicles with their pictures and their license. And I have that binder with me every day when I'm on patrol, when I'm watching that school. But we're not supposed to be taking these pictures and posting places.
I've had to take pictures off, Michael, as well, because see, where I work, we do the oil changes for ICE vehicles. So when they come in, I pass along the information to somebody so that they know what their license plate number is, what their make and model is, year, and you know what? I've been passing that information along. Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
But by the way, although it won't shock anybody, they routinely switch the license plates. We have documented some ICE cars with a front and back plate being
I was just going to say that.
And they use plates that are expired. I've already came across that twice.
Yep. Yeah.
But so that they don't look like,
Thank you, Clint.
Yeah.
I'm going to be getting in touch with you.
So
We also
you
have
can go
pictures
to
and license plates.
go to the VC Defensa website and look around. You've got everything there. Family plans, helping your neighbors come up with a short-term, emergency survival plan if somebody gets taken. And it's
We're
just, there are
also,
all kinds of resources there.
you can focus on, very important, focus on public schools. Be there whenever you can to take pictures of any kind of suspicious activity. Those fiends are targeting parents who are picking up and taking their children to the public school.
Mm-hmm.
And this, this is in our own backyard. This is at home, and of
Yeah.
course, we
Yes.
know that,
Yeah.
as has been indicated in the conversation, this is global. There, elements of this all over the world, and when Clint recommended uh, listening to the speeches at the UN, I have to kind of like mention that you really want to listen to the formerly colonized nations speak. They're the ones who are making sense. You
Yes.
Yeah.
know, listen,
Barbados.
listen to the Prime Minister of Ghana. You
Yes.
know, they make more because they know what it's like to deal with the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. That I had coffee with a colleague just a couple of days ago at a coffee shop here in Goleta, and she noticed that there was a really new looking bicycle just laying on the ground on Calle Real. And we were really distracted because we just thought that that could have been somebody that ICE picked up, because who would leave a new
Yeah. Yeah.
bicycle?
Yeah. And then Julius.
Where'd he
Good
go?
morning, everybody.
Good morning.
As I was listening to the pastor speak and the comments, it is a global struggle, and we have to remember that our movement is not just within these borders.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening is I listened to on YouTube something called Saturday Free School out of Philadelphia, just to get their perspectives, different ways of thinking about things. And they said something yesterday that was it's been emphasized repeatedly over the past 30 years, but this is a crisis of so-called quote-unquote Western civilization, which is really
Yes, yes.
euphemism for Europeanness.
Mm-hmm.
What is becoming clear is the formerly colonized nations, who then were under the yoke of neocolonialism, are gaining consciousness of their neocolonial positioning and wanting to remove that yoke, if you will, the yoke of neocolonialism, and have true representation in the United Nations.
Yes.
But the European powers, led by the United States, are resisting that as much as they can. And that is the driving force for what Ms. van der Ray mentioned, that these right-wing movements are not just confined to the United States, or perhaps they are in Europe as well.
They're
And
Western.
they see it,
Yeah.
and they see it as a civilizational struggle. And to me, that's a euphemism for European superiority, versus the global non-European savages, if you will, if you want to use really harsh language, which is what is at the bottom of all these euphemisms that they use: civilization, Christianity, Judeo-Christianity. They're really talking about whiteness, and we need to preserve whiteness because whiteness is superior, and whiteness represents civilization. So this is Trump is the great white hope, right? Whatever movement, right-wing movements in Europe, it represents the great white hope. But the problem is the world is waking up and gaining back control of their resources, which is why China has to be destroyed in the eyes of these people, which is why India has to be controlled, which is why Russia, with all of its vast resources, has to be controlled, so that you can have manpower and resource to then redominate the world. You notice a consistent theme of these Western powers. They want to destroy Russia, they want to control and destroy China, and they want to keep India on their side. All and Brazil
and Julius, and they want to keep Russia and China out of Africa.
Yep.
Yes.
exactly.
Yep. And South America.
Because they've had Africa bottled up in this neo-colonial bubble. They've had Africa to themselves. But Africa is also awakening. Africa is trying to shake itself off of blatant colonialism and also neo-colonialism. So this is a global struggle, but just know, this is what we're seeing, this temper tantrum of whiteness, of white supremacy. It is a signal that there's a crisis. They're having a nervous breakdown. So they're looking for people to lynch, literally,
Death throes.
all around the world. And where that crisis is hottest, where the emotional breakdown is hottest, is the genocide in Gaza. Because you see, when you're faced with a demographic time bomb, where you've set up a settler colonial state, where you're completely outnumbered, but you have a technological advantage and you have the United States backing you, you see what this system is capable of. But we shouldn't have to look at Gaza for an example. Look at what they did to the enslaved Africans, the millions that were brought to the Western Hemisphere and were killed by harsh labor, hard conditions, and the millions and millions of indigenous people that this psychology of false superiority caused to be eliminated.
So what you're telling us, as we know, that Gaza is Israel is the front line of global white supremacism. And that's why the West, I mean, even with the using language like we recognize the Palestinian state, they're not doing anything.
No.
They're not doing anything. They're trying to appease some people, but they're not taking any action. They're still funding the genocide.
Yes. And those techniques of warfare are coming to our shores. We should all pay attention to these so-called narco boats that are being blown up off the coast of Venezuela. The fusion of the propaganda of anti-terrorism and anti-drug, the war on drugs, the use of anti-drug warfare as a cover to kill people. And I am saying right now, right-wing extremism, right-wing white supremacy will cross that line where you will start to see drone strikes on American soil in the name of we're fighting a drug war. And we suspect this car was carrying drugs, and we attacked it with a drone and a Hellfire missile. That is coming. Why? Because that is what they do in Israel. That is what they do in all these third world countries where they claim they're fighting terrorists. So the line between us and them has already been drawn. Racism is driving all of this. That is at the bottom of it. And we can't, there's no kumbaya. Just as with slavery, there's already an us and them. There's no kumbaya. You had to destroy that system, and it took sacrifice to do so. There's no kumbaya here with someone when someone has a knife at your throat.
Yep.
And why is it that Jimmy Kimmel sparked the consciousness? Well, Jimmy Kimmel is a Euro-American. He's one of them in their consciousness. But these things have been happening to Black people, Latino people, Asian people
Yep.
from time immemorial.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius. I always love when you bring, you know what I mean, one extra layer of this. And
And Rosie had her hand up.
Rosie, where you at? Let's hear you, sister.
Just super quick. All my love to all of you. Brother Julius, you're right on, bro. I was gonna say that shit has been happening from way back. Okay. Remember the situation. I can't think right now, where they firebombed that house, and it was, I think, 5 or 7 children.
Philadelphia. Operation
Yes,
Move.
in Philadelphia, the move. Yes. So, this is not, like you were saying, this is not anything like new or surprising. Ooh, to like those of us, I think back to in the Colonia when 3 of my 5 brothers, one of them, God rest his soul, were basically attacked there as well by the SWAT, because they were out there helping the community, the elders in the Colonia projects clean up their homes and whatnot, and they went out there and accused them of selling drugs or moving drugs and stuff, and literally had their guns at their heads. And I think, motherfuckers, okay, sorry, I know some of you guys don't get the passion with which I say what I say, but oh man, this is beyond upsetting, and we do need to keep an eye and our ears open. And la sangre llama, like you said, Pastor, la sangre llama.
The blood speaks.
Rosie, can I just say, shucks and darn doesn't sometimes cover what we're feeling, and God gave us a vocabulary to use.
And David has his hand up.
David.
Dr. Dave.
Dr. David.
Very quickly, I want to and I want to thank every pastor and everybody for their insightful comments. This is just a little plug for a movie I went to yesterday. It's called One Battle After the Other. It concerns Black revolutionaries, but it's got an A-list cast: Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Guillermo del Toro, and this movie really portrays our government in its true colors as thugs, and it's funny. And there's also this satire of a secret society of white supremacists, and it's very entertaining. So One Battle After the Other, highly 2 thumbs up.
Right.
And I thought it was very unusual. I've never seen our government portrayed in such a negative light by Hollywood A-listers. It was quite something.
Okay. Well, I have to check that out, but let me just say I do it with a grain of salt, because Leonardo DiCaprio is helping to build a luxury hotel in Israel right now. So I have some reservations about him, but I still want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
he nauseates me now. Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
I don't know where
Anybody
these
else
people,
with
what these
some?
people do with their consciences. You know,
Well, he was heavily involved with P. Diddy and had to do an exit quick, fast, and in a hurry. So,
well, there you have it.
maybe he's planning to do some other shit over there, But I was gonna say, blame it on the escalator.
Hey, that I posted something about that. Live your life in such a way that when the escalator breaks down, you don't think it's because somebody hates you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? We probably should move on to communion. Thank you all. Grateful to be in your life and to be a part of your experience. Yeah. Um, on the night in which Jesus was betrayed, he took bread with his disciples and he said, "This is my body, which is broken for you. Would you take and eat?" In the same manner, he took the cup and said, "This is the blood of a new covenant. Let's drink."